And the big question is, what do you do to make money? What do you do to earn money? And for these, everybody wants to know that because there's a lot of people that are concerned. If I go to Albania, I don't speak the language. If I go
Yeah.
to Italy, I don't speak the language. What am I going to do to make some extra cash? And
Yeah.
even retirees want to make, if they can find a way to make another, three, four, five, $600 per month, that
Yeah.
helps. Okay, so today we're doing a special podcast today with my new friend Sarah Burghart. Sarah, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
So today we're going to talk about how to make extra cash or make money abroad. And you're going to share a little bit about how you do that, so that the viewers, many of them are considering moving abroad. Many are retirees that are looking to move abroad, but they're always also interested in making some extra cash and trying to figure out, okay, if I move to a different country, how do I do that? So let's first start with your backstory, Sarah. Give us a little bit a backstory about who you are, where you're from, and what country you chose.
Okay. So I am originally from Connecticut. I was born and raised there. And then when I was 17, I basically moved to Italy. I moved there as a student in high school. I did a year-long study abroad program there. I fell in love. I ended up going back for fell in love with Italy, not with anybody, and ended up going back to Italy for university. And then I ended up staying in Rome for 6 years.
Wow.
Yep, it was. I sometimes I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I was there for 6 years. That's
Wow. And what an
crazy.
amazing city to live
Yeah,
in.
and I studied actually archaeology, so it really was perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
And then COVID happened, and that kind of threw a wrench in all my plans. At the time, I actually was already home doing a little visit back home, and I couldn't get a flight back to Italy because of COVID.
Hmm.
Um, I was supposed to fly back in May. COVID was March, and so I ended up traveling the U.S. for a little bit until COVID kind of settled down. And but I knew I wanted to get back to Europe. But Europe at the time, now it might be a little easier with digital nomad visas, but at the time
Mhm.
it was really hard for an American to get a visa in Europe if you weren't a student, if you weren't investing a lot of money, if you didn't have a lot of money. Um, and so really I had lost my student visa and I did a little research. I saw that the Czech Republic was easier to get a work visa, teaching English there. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go to the Czech Republic, see what happens, and go from there. But then one day I was on actually Pinterest, and I kept seeing these beautiful beaches, and I'm like, what is this place? So I
Yes.
clicked, and it's Albania.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they start showing more and more of Albania. And then I see this little bit that says Americans can stay for a year. And I'm like, there is no way
Right.
because
I
I
know.
researched up and down how to get back to Italy without a student visa or whatever. And yeah, sure enough, it was true. And then I looked at how cheap it was. And
Yes.
I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Albania. And I
Yeah.
bought a ticket and I left maybe like 5 months later. And here I am over a year later and I'm still loving it.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
so true. I mean, and Albania has become it's an amazing country because you're
Mhm.
right there in the Mediterranean, you're near Greece, you're not far from Italy, and the food is fantastic, the culture's fantastic, and the affordability is
Oh,
brilliant.
yeah.
Thinking about moving abroad? Adventure Freaks is packed with resources to help you every step of the way. Want immigration support? We connect you with experts who understand the process inside and out, giving you the most up-to-date, reliable information. No more sifting through outdated websites or confusing embassy pages. You can click on the country you're interested in and scroll down and see our helpful links here. Here's immigration and visas, which will connect you with an immigration lawyer in that country. Curious about life abroad? Talk to expats who've already made the move. all of which we've done podcasts with on our YouTube channel. Whether it's day-to-day living or navigating local bureaucracy, they've been there and can share their firsthand experience. You can also book a one-on-one consultation with me. I've spoken with hundreds of expats and professionals around the world, and I'm here to help you navigate the process and find the right destination for you. Not sure where to go? Our Ideal Destination Finder can help. Answer 20 simple questions and discover the top 3 countries that match your lifestyle and priorities, all based on your answers. Plus, you can dive into our helpful articles covering everything from finding housing to understanding healthcare abroad. AdventureFreaks.com makes it easy to get the answers you need straight from the source. If you're ready to start your journey, we're here to help. I hear there's a big Italian influence in Tirana. They make a lot of pizza, a lot of Italian food.
That's true, but also in Vlore. And that's another thing to note, that if you speak Italian, and that's another reason why I was leaning towards Vlore in the end as well, because I heard that there's a large Italian community. And I'm like, well, I speak Italian, so that's going to be helpful. I speak Italian all the time. Like with my neighbors, I speak Italian with them.
Wow.
The ones that are like
crazy.
50 and up, they all know Italian. The younger ones, they all speak Italian so well. And to be honest with you, no shade to Italians, but Albanians speak English so well.
Yeah.
And living in Rome, I mean, people speak English well there, but not like they do in Albania. I was shocked by that. I was really shocked by that. Oh, yeah.
That's
I mean,
so
without like an accent. I mean, they watch a lot of YouTube and all that stuff here. So they get the accent, the American accent. They know everything.
How is your Albanian?
You know, I have to say that I've been kind of lazy with it because I can just speak Italian.
Yeah.
But I do want to make Albania my permanent home. I mean, it is my permanent home, but I mean long term. And I really, you can't fully integrate and experience a culture until you start learning their language.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's gotten better. I know I know words here and there, but it's I got to work on it.
Okay. All right, great.
But Italian's a lot easier to learn than Albanian. So if you already know a little bit of Italian, you might as well start with that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you know a little Spanish, it's easy to dive into Italian as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're so close.
And they have the ferry from Vlore to Brindisi, which is southern Italy.
Yep. Yep.
So we get a lot of Italians from that as well.
Okay. How long is that cruise?
So if you take the overnight, like the slower ferry and the overnight ferry, that's about 7 hours. But there is one during the day that's like 4 hours. But there are a lot of expats that will take the overnight ferry and they'll get a cabin.
Yeah.
And on the off season, I want to say it's like 50 euros. And they just sleep and then they wake up in Italy.
You know, years ago, I took that ferry from Brindisi to Greece, and I slept. It was the overnight, and I slept on the main deck. And I woke up with like soot all over me. It was like everything was sticky and black, and there was soot, and we could have rented a room. But I was with some people, and we're like going, let's just crash up here. It's nice. We got the breeze. It's beautiful. It's summertime. It's, and we all fell asleep. We all woke up. We had like this black soot from the. But what an adventure that was. It was a lot of fun. Okay, Sarah, well, let's dive into, let's talk about, what you do as a profession. So you basically moved overseas to study. You weren't working as a professional yet. So you really are a person who's lived overseas, moved abroad, really enjoys it, and now you found Albania. And the big question is, what do you do to make money? What do you do to earn money? And for these, everybody wants to know that, because there's a lot of people that are concerned. If I go to Albania, I don't speak the language. If I go to Italy, I don't speak the language. What am I going to do to make some extra cash? And even retirees want to make, if they can find a way to make another, $300, $400, $500, $600 per month, that helps.
Yeah. This is an important one because a lot of people, from what I see on my Facebook groups, think, especially like if you know the restaurant industry, you're going to find a job as a waitress here, a waiter, bartender, whatever, and make the same kind of money that we do in the United States. Keep in mind, tipping here is not a big thing. Right. I mean, at least it's not like 20, 25, 30% like it is in the US. Yep. Their minimum wage is like less than €2 an hour.
Yeah.
And the average monthly earnings for an Albanian is like 300 to 500 euros.
Hmm.
So that's what they're working with here. So definitely don't come here thinking that you're going to like find a job just because you speak English, and when the tourists come, that'll be useful, because they don't pay you more than the average than the local
Right.
Albanian. And there's a reason a lot of Albanians are leaving Albania.
Yeah.
um but years ago, and this actually, you can do, it's remote, so even if you don't end up going to Albania, you can do it anywhere, teaching English online. So when I lived in Italy, a lot of students, as an extra, little side hustle, would start teaching English in little language schools there. And that's how I got my start there. I worked for a few different language schools, and then the online teaching thing really became big. And I met a girl, and she taught for VIP Kid, which is
Yep.
a very popular company.
Yeah.
A lot of people start off with them.
Yep.
And she was like, yeah, I do it. I make good money. The hours are good, because in the US, if you teach English to Asians, you got to wake up at like 3,
Yes.
4, 5
I know.
a.m. It's not
Yeah.
fun.
Your day starts at 3
Oh my
a.m.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. But then here it starts at like 10, 11, and ends at like 2, 3, 4. So it's actually, it's a lot. You can actually sleep in, and,
Hmm.
it's not that bad. So I ended up applying for VIP Kid. I got hired. I taught there for a few years. I really like got my experience.
Hmm.
I ended up moving on to another company, which is still there, so you can apply. It's called Q Kids. And instead of this one being one on one, now I know VIP Kid has changed a lot since I started working there, so I'm not sure if they only do one on one still.
Hmm.
With Q Kids, it was 4 on 1, so you had 4 students.
Okay.
Um, but I liked it because it was less personal. It was
Yeah.
always different students. And with VIP Kid, the students, or really their parents, choose you. You have to do a
Mhm.
little introductory video. My name is Sarah. I've been teaching English for this amount of time. I come from here. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
Um, and it's nice to have that personal relationship with students, but sometimes you just want to like not, you just want to get your work done, and that's it.
Sure.
So I ended up moving to Q Kids. I really liked working for them.
Well,
Um,
let's back up a little bit
yeah,
because I want to touch on so teaching English, yes, now it's become a big thing. You can find a gig teaching in a clinic in Korea still for 25 hours a week. They'll pay you 2,000 to 2,500 a month.
wow.
And all you need is a degree in anything and be born in a native English speaking
Yeah.
country. And a lot of these clinics will still fly you out. They'll give you an airline ticket and they give you a furnished little studio apartment to live in for free. So it's a really good setup, but you still have to
Hmm.
clock in and work so many hours and clock out.
Yeah.
So what you've tapped into is online teaching. How
Hmm.
do the viewers find these gigs and what are the qualifications that you found? And do you know of anybody who is in their 50s, maybe 60s, that are actually doing this type of teaching?
Yeah. So you can Google teach English online, and hundreds of companies, because they are popping up every day.
Okay.
Companies, people reviewing which company you should work for, why I like this one. I mean, there is no shortage of information about that. And
Okay.
the nice thing about that is that, because we are American and we are native speakers,
Yes.
really, for most of them, that's all you really need.
Yes.
But if you and mostly a degree, but there are some companies out there that don't require a degree.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
Um, and you don't need experience either, but the important
Yep.
thing really is the demo video, because even if you don't have experience, if you do a really good demo video where you do like a 10-minute video of pretending to teach a student and they see that you're good, they'll
Yeah.
hire you, and then
Yes.
they'll actually train you. Like with VIP Kid, I got my first TEFL certificate through them. I didn't have to pay or anything.
Wow.
They
Okay.
offer, I don't know if they're still doing it. I assume they would be.
Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, this was right before COVID that I started teaching with VIP Kid.
Okay.
So not too long ago, but I got my first TEFL certificate through them. And really, you need to just prove yourself on that demo video. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there that show you how to do the demo video, and you
Sure.
can just mimic it.
Yeah.
Just like follow exactly how that other person did.
And
Um,
for the viewers, especially the older viewers about technology and things like that, making a demo video is really simple because the device you're holding in your hand can do an incredible video for you.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to do anything special. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to have
Yep.
any special equipment or audio equipment. Just use your phone to
Yeah.
videotape a cool.
Um, that that is true. However, some companies are a little bit more specific and like you already need to invest in a headset,
Yes.
in a ring light, you know? So if you
Yeah.
have that already, you're going to look more professional,
Yeah.
but it's not needed. It's not
Right.
needed. Like there was actually a company that I worked for that was not a video call with a student. It was actually just like a conversation on the phone. So that you could literally lie in bed and, you know, get paid to teach to someone and just have a conversation.
Yes.
That one paid a little bit less. I mean, here it would be fine. And that was also a good starting point. That one was called Easy Talk.
Hmm.
Um, they're based in Taiwan and it's older students as well. And their English
Okay.
is usually pretty good. They just want to focus on pronunciation and just conversations.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun students there because you'll realize, you know what, I don't like teaching kids or,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I like there's a certain age range that you prefer.
Sure.
And I've had students that are like 3 years old.
Oh, yeah, that would
And
be rough.
sometimes it's like, you know,
Yeah.
come on. I get
Yeah.
you want to start early, but this is a little
Right.
let your kid go play in the yard, please.
Well, that's the
um
interesting thing about, certain areas of Asian culture. They're so into learning,
mm,
and it's a big thing over there. It's very competitive.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's highly competitive. So parents really throw their kids into learning English at a very early age. A lot of these clinics, I'm sure you know, are open till midnight. So these kids go to
Oh
school during
yeah.
the day. They go to school during a day, then they get an hour off, then they go to the clinic and they spend the rest of their evening, some till midnight,
Yeah.
immersing themselves in these clinics to learn English.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It really
But
is. And I kind of feel bad for them because I've had a few students that I had them for a while and we became, very friendly. And they would,
yeah,
after my class, they end at 10 and then they go and do another course. Like, I had one student, he was 8 years old. After my class, he finished and he went to a decoding
yes,
course.
yes, yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. There's a lot
It's,
of pressure on a lot of those kids to succeed and to
it is.
excel and to stand out. And
Yeah.
the one good thing though is that, from the American schools, when you teach in an American school, a lot of kids just aren't interested in learning.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you live in an urban area or city schools, a lot of kids don't show any interest in learning. A lot of them. Then you get over there and you're working with kids in Asia and they're all intrigued and interested in
Hmm.
learning. And that's
Yeah.
the difference. At least you're working with a population of kids that are really, really interested in learning and understanding and developing. And we just don't get that in the US anymore.
It's funny you say that because so I started for a new company called Lingo Star.
Yes.
I worked for them for about 5 months. Um, and I just recently left them because I now work with American kids online.
Wow.
And sometimes it's from, like underprivileged areas. I'm actually tutoring them. So they're in
Okay.
school
Yep.
and it's anywhere from one to sometimes it's 10 students. And I'm just trying to, like, help them understand what they're already learning in school.
Hmm.
And some of the kids are great. They're there to learn. And some of them I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm only going to try so much.
Right. Yeah.
So I do miss teaching Asian children in that aspect because they are I mean, 1 out of 100 might give you trouble, but they're
Yeah.
very respectful.
Yes.
They come prepared.
Yeah.
They're ready to learn.
Yeah.
So that is a nice thing. But I will say that it's nice getting back, especially since I don't live in the US anymore. It is nice having American students.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's another thing. Like teaching Asian students is very big in the online teaching world. But what I've noticed, what's coming up, especially since COVID, because a lot of students, they realize how much they can do online in school.
Hmm.
There are a lot of communities that have started utilizing this online tutor presence,
Hmm.
and it pays a lot better than the Asian companies do. I mean, you're getting an
Hmm.
American wage.
Yeah.
nothing crazy, but I mean, for someone living here, it's like I'm making a lot of money.
Right.
Um, you get to speak to people where there's no language barrier. Although they're actually this one company that I do work for, they are looking for people that can speak Spanish because there are a
Mm.
lot of students that can't speak English yet.
Hmm.
But there are companies popping up
Yeah.
that are targeting American students. And there was one that I came across the other day that is specific for teaching kids how to read. So,
Hmm.
like in the one that I do, they have science, social studies, math, and ELA.
Hmm.
Um, so I teach a little bit of that. Right now I'm doing like kindergarten to fifth grade because I realized, yeah, I don't really want to work with the high schoolers anymore. So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I found my little age group that I like and
Yep.
I stick with that. But I don't actually teach reading. You
Yeah.
know, we're just, yeah, that's not like a main focus in those classes. But with this particular website, it's called Air Reading. Now I haven't worked for them, so I can't tell you about that. But I do know that they're a newer company and they specifically teach reading or help the student learn how to read better.
Hmm.
Um, so there are more companies popping up like that, but because they're newer, it's not a guaranteed schedule. So
Okay.
this is also
Yes.
like if you have a retirement, and you don't need to immediately start working, I do recommend if you like the company sticking it out and working with them because for example the company that I work with now that I really like, I started 3 years ago with them and it was like a hit or miss. I
Hmm.
barely had that many classes, but I was like, well, because when I was in the US I and in Italy actually I was a dog sitter and a house sitter,
Hmm.
so I was still once again working from home really. And that's why I started with that, but so I didn't, it was just an extra income, it wasn't my primary income like it is now.
Hmm.
And over time they started getting new school districts, and now I have a full schedule and they actually have way more classes that they don't have enough teachers for. So
Right.
even if it's a newer company and there aren't that many classes, if they're really good in what they do, they will eventually get more school districts and more students signing up.
Hmm.
So I suggest to stick it out because I'm really glad I stuck it out because now I start working at like 2:30, 3, and I finish like 9:30, 10, 10:30,
Okay.
and I get paid well
Okay, so
and
let's get into
I like
that a
it.
little bit. So Sarah, you started out basically finding these companies through Google. So you search
Yeah.
Google finding these newer companies that are offering a variety of different subject matters that you may be intrigued with. Then
Mhm.
you kind of explore them. So that's kind of branched you out from the ESL thing and the TEFL
Yes.
thing to do some other things. But for the
Yep.
people who are just starting out with this and going, wow, this is pretty cool. We could live overseas and we could make some extra cash teaching online in our apartment or home that we purchase
Yeah.
somewhere in Albania or Italy or
Yeah.
wherever. Um, how do they how do they get started and and how much do they pay per hour to do
So, right. So usually they pay per class because really it seems like from what I've seen, ESL companies or classes are like 25 minutes each.
that? Hmm.
And each class, the lowest I've seen for native speakers like $7. So you're going to
Okay.
start at $14 an hour.
Okay.
Usually with the bigger companies, you can make up to like 21, $22. But that's through like the thing why I kind of stopped with VIP Kit is, and a lot of companies are doing this, and to watch out that you really do feel like you're getting paid enough for your time is that they're starting to ask for more, but they're lowering the pay.
Yeah.
So, living here, it's okay because the pay is still good. But like in the US, it's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But so like with VIP Kid and with the other company I just worked for, they have tiers. So I started off at $7.
Hmm.
Once I got, I think it was 5 regular students,
Yeah.
then they added like an extra 50 cents. Then once I got another 3 students, they added an extra 50 cents. So you have to work your way up there. You have to work your way up the tiers to
Hmm.
get more money. And in the end, you could end up getting like 21 or $22
Hmm.
an hour. So for
Yeah.
every 2 classes.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, really, so Google it and they'll all come up. If
What do they
maybe if you
type
want
in to
to
Google? What are the search terms you're
teach
using?
English online.
Teach English online.
Yeah,
Okay.
simple.
Okay.
And then you'll see them pop up. Do your research, which one, maybe better rate, less rate. This one doesn't require a degree. This one pays, whatever.
And
You do that.
on average, how many hours do they offer you per week?
It's not what they can offer you, it's who chooses you. So that's another thing. With many of the companies, so you have to do this little intro video and the parents watch and they say, "Oh, I like that person."
Yeah.
And then they book a class with you. They book a trial class. Now, in
Mhm.
that trial class, you really got to do well because you're trying to win over the student. And then if they like you, they start booking with you. And that's how you get your students. So from the get go, you're not going to be assigned students unless, for example, that company I spoke about, Q Kids, they just assign. You don't have to do a welcome video. They just assign you kids, and it's always different kids. But
Yeah.
if you prefer to go the route where it's you know the student, you actually build this relationship with them, you have to earn over their parents, basically.
Okay.
So in the beginning, though, like if you have a pretty decent video, there you're going to get students fast, and it might not be students that you're end up choosing you, but you're going to get a lot of trial students.
Okay.
So I mean, and if you do well, you could have 10 classes a day, even more than that.
Okay. And you
You
were
could
saying that
really
there's a way to create a really good video. There's some tutorials out there. Where do they search to find those?
YouTube.
On YouTube.
YouTube. So
And what
when
are the
you
keywords?
choose
What are the keywords to search for that?
first, you should choose the company that you want to go with
Okay.
because not every demo video is going to be the same. So you don't want to do a general demo video. Find the company that you want to apply to and apply to all of them, honestly. Apply to all
Yes.
of them.
Yeah.
And guarantee there will be somebody that already made the demo video demonstration.
Hmm.
And you just watch it and you mimic it and then there's that. A lot of them will ask you to have like maybe a little, welcome sign in the back with your name, some bright, fun colors. Some of them don't. Like the company I just worked for, Lingo Star, I just had my white background and that was fine. But to be honest with you, I didn't really get that many students. And that's probably part of the reason why at that point my heart was kind of out of the game. So I didn't really care.
Yeah.
But honestly, having a nice background is going to make a difference.
Okay. For
Yeah.
those that don't want to do a demo video but would love to just kind of find a way to, are there any like, let's say they choose Albania like you, could they just go to a school and get paid to teach English? Is that happening in Albania?
Okay. In Tirana, yes.
In Tirana.
Um,
Okay.
yes, in Toronto because that's where they have the international schools. I think there's maybe two. It's not like a huge selection. I actually have a friend that works there. She works in one of the private schools. Um, the school provided her with a studio apartment. We didn't talk specifics, but the pay is okay,
Yeah.
and she's getting by. It's better than, what an average Albanian would make. She's fine there.
So this is your primary work right now is teaching online.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. How many hours a week are you doing that?
35,
Okay,
around
35.
35.
So you're
Yeah.
busy. You're staying
Yeah.
pretty busy.
Yeah.
You're staying pretty
Yep.
active, and everything is done in your apartment. You do everything
Mhm.
online.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now that brings me to another thing though, is that VPNs. You have to be careful with VPNs, which I don't even know what actually that stands for. Maybe you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, no.
Um,
I have
so a
one, but
V
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what it's for. VPN is when you're in another country and you try to access, for right now, like when I try to watch my videos in the United States, I have to put on my VPN. I'm in New York so I can
Right.
access that site. So for this particular company that I work for, I have to use my VPN. And I
Okay.
hope they never upgrade it because I know some companies in the United States they can pay to have it like figure out if you're using a VPN.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
I've heard that. Yep. Because I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for digital nomads and stuff like that. And that comes up a lot. This company doesn't. I knock on wood. I don't think they will. But if they ever did, then I gotta go probably back to teaching Asian kids. The Asian companies though, they don't care where you are.
Yeah.
As long as you actually like grew up in a native speaker, they don't care where you're actually teaching.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
So basically, and I'll just help the viewers understand that. So your current, one of the employers that you work with, they require that you live in the US and teach
Mhm.
online. But a
Yes.
VPN is an app you can put on your computer or phone that hides your identity, and you can select the country with that VPN, and it shows everybody that you appear to be living in that particular country.
Hmm.
So even though you're in Albania, you can click the VPN and say Colorado, and it
Hmm.
appears that you are from and living in Colorado to
Yeah.
those people. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that's everything. Is there anything else you can think of that could be beneficial for the viewers that are thinking of like moving abroad and making extra income that we haven't discussed?
Um, I would get started now if you want to. I mean, definitely do your homework. And I know that there's like this big everyone thinks, I mean, it's true. Albanians love Americans. I keep seeing people write that on Facebook. And while it is true, that doesn't mean, this is America and we can just come in here and like it runs like we do. Yes, they love us, but we still have to integrate and stuff like that. We shouldn't expect that we're going to be getting this American wage here or just up and easily find a job. So definitely do your research if you want to come here and work. And I think probably the best bet is the ESL, unless you have like a very specific knowledge of something that could be useful. The
Hmm.
ESL with Asian companies, they're definitely more relaxed in what they require. If you want to lean towards the American companies, which is a new and growing area, um, I'm glad you said that because I actually had to get my fingerprints done in the
Hmm.
US
Okay.
to get a lot of the classes because they do want to do a background check. They want to have your fingerprints, make sure that, and I don't have a teaching degree or anything, but this
Yes.
American company, that's okay. I just had the experience teaching. And so if you're looking to lean into that more, definitely get started in the US. You can do your fingerprints and get all that sorted before you actually come here. Like
Hmm.
the two retirees that asked me the other day, I said to them, one of them actually is going back to the US to visit so she can get her fingerprints done. But that is something, yeah, definitely do your research before you move here if you really want to get into it.
Yeah.
Um, and don't be afraid just because you have no teaching experience.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't say this, but you could definitely fib on your resume and say that you have teaching experience because it's not like anyone's going to go and call that person or
Sure.
that school. Um, just make sure you watch YouTube videos with the demo videos and you're going to be prepared too because you all have
Mhm.
to start somewhere. So don't be afraid when you're starting from the bottom because there is no shortage of jobs for teaching English. Now, if you were in the US, I wouldn't be so promoting it as much because in the US it's so expensive now.
Yes.
But here, even though the wages have gotten a little bit lower with the Asian companies, it's still totally doable here in Albania.
Hmm.
It is, especially if you just need a little side extra. It's not even like your full, what you're relying on. So also don't be discouraged by what you're going to get paid
Hmm.
because that's just how it is. And if you're going to be moving abroad, it's actually still better than what they get paid here.
Sure. Yeah, and I think the one huge benefit to doing that. The viewers that are retirees that are looking to move abroad, they're looking to make some extra cash. Ideally, a lot of times they're looking to connect within the community or help in some capacity where they're being helpful. And if you
Hmm.
can be helpful in some capacity and make some extra money, and you don't need to have any kind of teaching degree or
Hmm.
certification, you can dive
Yep.
into this and give it a try. It could be very fun and exciting for a lot of people. So it's a
Oh yeah.
great option to make money abroad.
That's a big thing for because I'm in a lot of also join ESL uh, groups on Facebook because that's also where I find out about some of these new up and coming teaching American kids
Hmm.
companies, and a lot of them are stay at home moms and retirees,
Hmm.
and they love teaching this. I mean, some people really get into it.
Hmm.
I never got that much into it. I definitely prefer teaching face to face, which was my kind of you know, obviously there's pros and cons to being remote and being in person, but some people really, really, really enjoy it. And
Yeah.
good for them. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it could be if you enjoy it, it's a very fun job. Very
Yeah.
fun. And you can travel. You don't have to be in the US.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, Sarah Burghart, thank you so much for sharing all this information and
Absolutely.
how to make some money and extra cash living abroad, especially in Albania. And I just want to
Yeah.
tell the viewers that it doesn't matter what country you live in. You can do this gig in any country. You can
Mhm.
teach ESL online or find teaching gigs online. And like you said, some of it is just chatting and having conversations with interesting students that just want to converse with somebody that comes from a native speaking
Yep.
English country. So what a great opportunity. Thanks again for doing this, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
my
it.
pleasure.
All right. Well, you have a great rest of the evening over there,
Yeah, I'm gonna go make dinner.
Sarah. Yeah, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.